Hi friends, most of you watch my channel without subscribing. Please subscribe if you like my stories. Have a good rest. James and Angela first met in high school algebra class. He still remembered the way she swept her long sandy brown hair over one shoulder and smiled shyly when he was assigned the seat next to her. They started passing notes back and forth, joking about their teacher's monotone lectures. Angela had just moved to town over the summer after her parents' divorce. She was quiet and hesitant to open up at first, but James' goofy humor and genuine kindness soon put her at ease. Underneath her reserved exterior, Angela was whip-smart with a wicked sense of humor. They connected right away. A few weeks later, James plucked up the courage to invite Angela to one of the nights at school. She accepted immediately, her eyes sparkling. The night of the dance, he borrowed his father's car and brought her a wrist corsage. They danced a slow dance under the twinkling lights in the gymnasium, pressed tightly against each other. When James dropped her off that evening, they kissed for the first time on her front porch. Over the next 4 years, their romance blossomed. James and Angela were inseparable. They did homework together, learned to drive together, planned for college together. James knew without a doubt that he wanted to marry her someday. Even their parents could see they had something special. On graduation night, they shared tearful goodbyes before Angela left for her out-of-state college. They were determined to stay together despite the distance. For the next 4 years, they exchanged daily texts, letters, and any free moment they could squeeze into video chat. Whenever they reunited over school breaks, it was electric. Like no time had passed. They laughed, talked, and kissed for hours on end. When college finally ended, James proposed to Angela the very next day. Watching her tearful nod and holding her in his arms, he felt like the luckiest man alive. She was his soulmate, his one true love. James and Angela decided on a small, intimate wedding surrounded only by close family and friends. On the morning of the big day, James was a bundle of excitement and nerves. The moment he saw Angela walk down the aisle on her father's arm, the rest of the world faded away. She was an absolute vision in a lacy white gown and veil, eyes locked on his. They exchanged heartfelt vows beneath a flower-adorned archway in her parents' backyard. As they shared their first kiss as husband and wife, their loved ones erupted into cheers and applause. At the reception, James' best man gave a hilariously embarrassing toast recounting tales of their early dating days. Later, Angela tossed her bouquet straight into the arms of her giggling college roommate. As the live band played their first song, husband and wife swayed together under the stars, whispering words of love. They'd fed each other decadent cake and laughed with delight as guests covered them in bubbly champagne. Much later, they finally retreated to the cozy honeymoon suite next door. Angela changed into a lacy white negligee that took James' breath away. They made passionate love late into the night, cherishing every touch. Limbs intertwined, they fell asleep as the sun crept over the horizon, blissfully happy. The next morning, they left for a 2-week honeymoon road tripping down the California coast. Every day was more magical than the last. They surfed in the Pacific, hiked redwood forests, and toured vineyards hand in hand. Curled up by their nightly beach bonfires, James knew he'd found his soulmate. Life was absolutely perfect. Over the next 15 years of marriage, they settled into comfortable domesticity. Angela's marketing career took off, and James got a job as an accountant. They bought a cozy house in the suburbs, adopted a fluffy orange cat named Pumpkin, and fell into easy routines together. Somewhere along the way, the passionate kisses faded into quick pecks. Candle-lit dinners morphed into TV tray takeout on the couch. Their conversations revolved around work and chores rather than hopes and dreams. They were more like responsible roommates than lovers. But James didn't seem to notice, assuming this was normal long-term love. Meanwhile, Angela felt their emotional connection slipping away. James was constantly working late and buried in his phone when home. The playful spark had vanished from their relationship. She ached for romance and intimacy again. That's when Brandon started working at Angela's PR firm earlier that year. He was young, handsome, and energetic, always making her laugh. They hit it off immediately and started having long lunches together, venting about work and relationships. One innocent friendship slowly evolved into undeniable attraction. Before she'd even realized what was happening, Angela had fallen for Brandon's charms and attention. He looked at her in a way James hadn't for years, like she was desirable. She knew having an affair was wrong, but she desperately craved that excitement again. Which led to that fateful Saturday morning, when she woke before dawn and snuck out to meet Brandon, ignoring James' calls. The moment James saw the unfamiliar earring glinting in her purse, their whole world shattered into pieces. Angela wept and pleaded, but a heart can only take so much betrayal before it breaks entirely. In the weeks following Angela's confession, tension hung thick in their household. James oscillated between explosive anger and hollow sadness. He would scream and throw accusations 1 minute, then dissolved into sobs the next. Angela walked on eggshells, trying to console him. But she knew the damage was already done. They started marriage counseling as a last-ditch attempt to mend their broken bond. But with each session, the canyon between them only widened. There were no more secrets left. The ugly truth was out in the open. Angela discovered her emotional affair with Brandon had actually turned physical for a brief period. This news was the final nail in the coffin for James. He refused to sleep in the same bed with her anymore. Long silences would stretch between them, broken only by accusations and muffled crying. James started staying later and later at the office just to avoid going home to Angela. Their cat Pumpkin seemed to sense the tension too, hiding from the constant arguing. One night over a tense, silent dinner, James slid the divorce papers across the table. Angela wasn't surprised. She had been bracing for this. They discussed dividing assets calmly and agreed to sell the house. In recent days, Angela had noticed that James had become eerily polite. She knew him well enough to realize that beneath the outward calmness, he was still seething with pain and anger. That calmness made her deeply uneasy. What was he secretly planning? She was right to be concerned. As soon as James cut off direct contact with Angela, he launched into creating his plan for revenge. It started by gathering intel on the man who caused all this damage, Brandon Porter. With her Facebook password, he easily tracked down Brandon's work email and phone number. Next, James created fake social media accounts to communicate anonymously. He emailed Brandon with a dire threat: stay away from Angela, or else their explicit messages would be leaked publicly. As expected, Brandon completely freaked out and agreed to disappear from her life. But James wasn't done inflicting misery yet. He paid a locksmith to gain secret access and hide cameras in Angela's new apartment. Now he could spy on her remotely and orchestrate the next phase. A week later, he used the fake email to contact her biggest PR client. The angry client immediately revoked their business after reading graphic details of her sordid affair. Angela lost her largest source of income almost overnight. Watching her meltdown on the hidden cameras gave James a perverse sense of satisfaction. Her downfall gave him power again after feeling so betrayed and emasculated. In the year following the divorce, Angela struggled severely with depression. She had to move apartments and find a new job. Her reputation at work was tarnished. Friends pitied her downward spiral, not realizing James was pulling the strings all along. Only he knew the truth behind her sudden devastation. This toxic secret glee kept him going as he tried to heal his broken heart.